Hello and welcome to another video. So it's February, it's almost Valentine's Day. I thought it would be fun to do a romance recommendation video. I don't think I've actually ever done a video where I recommend books for a specific genre, so this should be fun. So I have a lot of books to recommend and I split them up into 6 different categories. The first category being hyped up romance books. And the 3 books I have are these 3. So we have Simon vs. a Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. This is a super fun LGBT YA romance. This book is loved by many. It has pen pals, it has blackmail, it has theater elements. It's just an all-around fun time. Then we have Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is the first book in a trilogy and each book covers a different Brown sister. So this one we have Chloe Brown. Can't remember what the second one is, but then the third one is about Danny Brown. So this book is also super fun. It is a adult romance, so we got more mature themes in here. We have art, we have chronic illness, we have a very sweet getting to know you little romance. I highly recommend. This one is very fun. And the next one is The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. This one is the spiciest of the 3 books, as it's about main character Stella, who wants to have lessons from a male escort to kind of help her practice being in a relationship better and in her opinion being more desirable to males. This one is also really fun. We have autism representation, we have Asian representation. There's so much fun things happening in this book. Very sweet, also very mature, so be aware of that. So the next category I have is YA romances. Starting off with To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. This definitely could have been in the hyped up section because a lot of people are familiar with this story. I mean, it was made into a Netflix movie. I enjoyed it. So very briefly, this is about this girl, Lara Jean, who falls in love very hard, and she has with a couple different of boys who do not know that she was in love with them. So she wrote them each different love letters and then she stashed them in the top of her closet and they got mailed out to all these boys. And this is just about her kind of discovering herself and figuring out what love really means to her. It also has some fake dating in there, so that's kind of fun for a little YA book. So next I have the Serena Legacy trilogy. This is actually book 3 in the series and this is written by Anna Banks. Book 1 is actually called Of Poseidon. I just don't have the first 2 books, I only have the 3rd one. Anyways, so this is a YA romance shifter mermaid book. This has tons of teen angst and it's got mermaids, like one of my favorite things. So in a very, very vague, broad sense of the term, this kind of gives me Twilight vibes, just in the angsty teen category. So I don't know, I really enjoyed it. So the 3rd book in this category is The Coffee House Angel by Suzanne Selfers. This book is so fun. It's also paranormal. We have the main character, whose name I can't remember. She works in a coffee house with her family, and in like the back alley, she sees what she thinks is a homeless person. And so she offers the homeless person some coffee, and I think she gives them like some danishes or something. And then it turns out that this homeless person is actually an angel, and now the angel owes her a favor, kind of like a favor for a favor thing. And this is a very fun, a very sweet romance. It's actually one of my favorite books. I've read it like, I don't know, like 5-6 years ago, and I think about it all the time. So moving on to category 3 is my LGBT romance section. These are all adult romances, so there are some mature themes in these books. So the first one is Just Friends by Saxon James. This book kind of gives me Heartstopper vibes. So it's about these 2 boys who were best friends since they were children, like all the way back to like elementary school. They were best friends. One of them is openly gay and he has a secret crush. I don't know how secret it is, but he has a crush on his best friend and he never tells him all the way up until they're adults. And the other best friend has been straight his entire life, like exclusively dating females, until he kind of discovers maybe there's a little bit more than just friendshiply love with his best friend. And it's amazing. I love this book so much. So book number 2 is Pop Star by Eden Finley. This is another male-male romance. I don't know why, but I just encounter a lot more male-male romances than I do female-female, and so I have more suggestions for those. Anyways, this one is about a pop star, as you can probably tell by the title, and his bodyguard and how they fall in love. So it's a bodyguard romance trope and I love it. There's not really much I can say here without kind of giving it away. I mean, if you know it's a bodyguard, then you kind of know that lives are in danger. Like, it just kind of goes with the trope. So book number 3 in this category is the only female-female romance I have, which is Love Accidentally Me by Jamie Clevenger. This is actually book 2 in a series, but you don't really need to read book 1 to understand what's happening here. So the premise of this book is there's these 2 female characters, and one of them is moving out of her ex-girlfriend's house after a whole toxic relationship breakup kind of situation. And so she's driving her U-Haul to her new place, which I believe she's moving in with her grandma or her aunt, I can't remember. And she gets into a car accident driving the U-Haul, and the paramedic that comes to the scene and rescues her is amazing Finn, and I wish everybody could have a Finn because she's incredible. So we get our love story between somebody who's kind of just getting out of a very toxic relationship and amazing paramedic Finn. I loved it. 5 stars. I suggest it. So category number 4 is historical romances. The first book I have is To Love Again by Bertrand Small. I'm kind of noticing a theme with Bertrand Small historical romances. People either kind of like love her books or they find them just average. Like, I don't see a lot of people that actually hate her books. Her books, I've read a couple of them. They're kind of long, as historical romances tend to be, and there's like multiple plots going on. So for To Love Again, we have betrayal, we have kidnapping, we have murder, we have people being sold to other people. There's kind of a second chance romance, but not in the typical way you would expect it to be, which I mean kind of goes along with the title, To Love Again. But yeah, this book was really fun. I do suggest it. The only problem I had with it was the ending, and not because I thought it was a bad ending, I just wanted there to be more. So the next book in this category is Hitched to the Gunslinger by Michelle McLean. This one also has a lot going for it. So it's historical, it's a western, we got strong women, we got humor, there's just a lot of fun things about this book. I feel like the title kind of gives enough of what the premise is, so I don't really need to tell you what it's about. Like, you kind of already get it. But this one was a fun time. I highly suggest it. If you like, you know, westerns and historical romances and stuff, like, this is a fun one. So the next category is fantasy romances. I don't actually read a lot of fantasies, so I don't have a lot to go on, and I'm not going to suggest ACOTAR because everybody knows about ACOTAR. So the book I am suggesting is To Carve a Fae Heart by Tassonia Odette. This is kind of like a typical Fae romance. You have like the humans and the Fae, and every some odd years there's some kind of arranged marriage to kind of keep the peace between the 2 species. Anyways, there's an arranged marriage. The humans always don't want to do it because they kind of feel like they're at some kind of disadvantage. I mean, obviously they are. This is kind of a typical fantasy romance, but I had a lot of fun reading it. I believe it is part of a trilogy. But yeah, it's a really fun time if you like fantasy romances. It's, I mean, nothing special, but I don't really have much in this genre to recommend, and I really loved this book, so. My next category is not exactly a genre. It's more like other genre books that have romance as a side plot. And so the first book is The Lassarin by Diane Duvall. This is the first book in a series, and it's actually, I think, a companion series to another one of her series. So this one is very romance heavy, but the romance isn't exactly the entire plot. It's more sci-fi and paranormal. So we have the 2 main characters that were kind of abducted from different situations. We have a human and we have a Lassarin, who is technically an alien, and they're trying to escape from this like very scientific place that they're being held. Like, the human is just trying to escape, and the alien is trying to find his sister, which is the whole reason he came to Earth in the first place. While this book technically is sci-fi and aliens and stuff, it's not one of those overwhelming, very scientific sci-fi books, which I really appreciate because I don't really love those books. And the romance definitely is in there, and the romance is fun and it's sweet and I love it. So this book isn't a shifter book. It's a sci-fi human aliens book. But the vibes I get from it are very like shifter pack mentality vibes. I don't know, I like those books. I like shifter books. I don't have any shifter books on the list, but it's just because I haven't read any of those recently. I also read, I believe it was book 2 or book 3, I can't remember. I had to read them for work, so I don't get to read these books in order, and that one was also very good. So if you want to read the audiobooks for these, I proofed them. And the second or third one, whichever one that I did in the series, actually won an award, and I'm very proud of it. So the last book that I'm recommending is the Witchbane series by Morgan Bryce. This is another one that I did for work, so I didn't actually read books 1 and 2. I only read books 3 and 4. And this is a paranormal magic witch hunt, like on the road traveling adventure, witches, LGBT romance. So this book has a lot going for it. I don't know like the exact premise of what's going on because I didn't read books 1 and 2, but books 3 and 4 were so good and so fun, and I keep meaning to make time to go back and read the first 2 because I loved them so much, but like I just haven't gotten around to it for whatever reason. But yeah, I don't want to tell you any more about books 3 and 4 because, you know, they're books 3 and 4, no spoilers. So that's all the romance recommendations I have for this video. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these, or leave some romance recommendations for me. That's gonna be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!